Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Coincidence? I think not. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere, even at 30,000 feet. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
No purchase necessary. VGW. Void were prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
Who remembers the BJ and Bill Show all those years ago on WOLZ? Well, many have said they missed the show, and guess what? They're back. Welcome to the BJ and Bill podcast.
Welcome to BJ and Bill, the podcast, a part of the Podcast Playground Network, where we ask you to review. Yes, do it wherever you get your podcast, whether it be Apple, Spotify, and also remember that 5-star review. It helps us out so much. And welcome to episode 70.
And welcome to 2024.
Oh, my goodness.
I know, right?
And we're
Go ahead.
I was going to say, we're actually recording this on New Year's Day.
That, I just wanted to point out, is how dedicated we are to this business and this podcast and to our friends and fans around the world. We want to be here for you. Well, we could have recorded it tomorrow and you would have never known because it doesn't drop until Wednesday. But yeah, we're here. We're here because we had nothing better to do. We're just two old guys who didn't really party much, didn't party at all, if truth be told. For this guy, we're going to find out about BJ. But yeah, took it easy, didn't do anything, was probably in bed by 15 minutes past midnight last night. Yeah.
Well, at about 11:30, I'm looking at the wife. I go, man, just drop the damn ball already. Let's get it over with.
Well, there's that whole timing thing. So did you watch the Nashville one? I kind of went back and forth from New York to Nashville.
I watched the Nashville, experience or whatever on CBS. Right. And, like I said, 11:30, I wanted to go to bed. And then, of course, Leonard Skinner came on just before midnight. So I got a little excited about that. And then midnight hit, and I said, okay, time for bed. Then they came back, and they said, Leonard Skinner will be right back to do Sweet Home Alabama. And I said, I got to see that. I'm not going to go to bed yet. So as soon as Sweet Home Alabama did its last Alabama,
right,
lights out,
went
to bed.
Interesting that they did the show in Nashville, cool city. I mean, all of that, but wrong time zone. I mean, when it's midnight in New York, it was only 11 o'clock in Nashville, right?
Yes, but they bounced to, because they had some people, at this Times Square too.
Yes.
Cody Allen and
okay, I didn't. I kind of went back and forth between them and Ryan Seacrest, and I'm just, I'm over that. I don't, it's like they're introducing these stars and talking to people, and I don't recognize any of them, and it's like, I know I'm old, but I miss Dick Clark. It's okay, it's all right. I bounced around to that, and I noticed that Fox had the same. They had this. They were in Times Square, but they didn't. Did I miss something? Did they not have anybody there? They just showed the live feed from Times Square, and I don't think they had any hosts or music or anything. They just kind of showed what was going on.
I'm not for sure because I never turned it on Fox at all.
Yeah, I just went back and forth.
The only time I watched Fox was earlier in the day where I wanted to shoot myself.
Oh, and of course, folks, he's talking about the football game in which the Tampa Bay Buccaneers kind of shot themselves in the foot and lost to the New Orleans Saints. Saints, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it was the Saints they lost to.
Yeah.
Actually, we went out to, I guess we'd call it lunch, but it was kind of our dinner.
Right.
At 1 o'clock.
At 1 o'clock. Well, that's a really early bird for you old folks out there. Yes.
But we met my daughter and her boyfriend at the Texas, not Lone Star, Texas. What is
Texas
it?
Roadhouse?
Yeah, Texas Roadhouse.
Love that place. Was there 2 weeks ago in Jacksonville. Yes.
And that's where I did my only partying. I did have one rum and Coke because I figured, hey, it's New Year's Eve. So we all had a cocktail. Mine was a rum and Coke.
Okay.
Now,
And-
one thing I want to get back to the Nashville thing,
Yes.
but I did see some people complaining, oh my God, this is a rock and roll show. But it's kind of funny because as a DJ that DJ'd parties, also DJ'd New Year's Eve celebrations,
Right.
they pretty much did exactly, but only with country music only. Where when I DJ'd, I played, top
Everything.
40. I played it all. But when you first watched the show, like around 8 o'clock, it was all the country stars doing their standards and their regular songs. And then, especially after the news, because they did news at 10. And then, at 10:30, they came back to the
Right.
celebration
Right.
in Nashville. And that's when they kicked it into high gear. It wasn't so much all these standard country songs. That's when the groups like Leonard Skinner came out, and the country stars that were there
Right.
did more either rocking songs themselves, or, they kind of, rocked it up and got it. To me, as a person, it kind of seemed like it got younger and more edgy as we got closer to midnight. Which, if I was DJing a dance, that's what I would have done. I would have started out with, the Temptations
Sure.
and, like Roy Orbison and things like that. The first hour or two,
Right.
then kind of get into a little bit of, maybe 80s, 70s rock. And then by the end of the night, we'd be doing the Electric Slide and Boogie Down and,
Of course.
whatever else is hot at the time.
Classic party tunes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. So I thought it was really interesting that they start CBS did that, right? Yeah, CBS
Yes.
did the Nashville. I mean, they started literally, like you said, at 8 o'clock. I mean, that I am like, okay, normally it's like they start at 11:30, or something like that. But I guess they wanted to make it a whole night of music and all of that sort of thing. So I get it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think Dick Clark did the same thing. I think they started at 8 too.
Oh,
And then they
well,
break
if
for
they did.
that.
I didn't notice.
Then they break for that news.
Right.
So
Well,
yeah.
I watched the football. I watched the Sunday night football game, which was, you didn't miss a thing. It was Green Bay beating up on Minnesota. You didn't miss a thing there, and it ended like at 11:30. So, I'm like, okay, fine. Mike Tirico and what's his name wearing their tuxedos and bow ties and all that. And I'm like, okay, fine, great, whatever. So yeah, not a lot of great football this weekend, although, my Cleveland Browns had a good week last week. And so they had Sunday off. They had the weekend off. And Jaguars played without Trevor Lawrence. So they, Bobby Beathard or whatever his name is, second string quarterback, did a fine job. They were playing the Carolina Panthers, come on. So, I'm not going to say I could have beat the Carolina Panthers with the Jaguars, but probably close. It would have, been interesting. So
No. Because the first time they got to the quarterback and knocked him on his little butt. Okay, I give. The game's over.
Bring out the card. Yeah, that would have been me. But all right. So anyway, Jaguars, thank you. They won. Yep, they're good. So yeah, all good. I mean, it didn't really. Now there were a lot of teams, cemented their place or got kicked out or whatever. But we're going to the last week as we record this. We are going into the last weekend of the regular season, and a lot of stuff is still up for grabs. It's interesting. It's kind of cool the way it played out this year.
Lucky Land Casino, asking people, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
Lucky? In line at the deli, I guess?
Aha, in my dentist's office. More than once, actually.
Do I have to say?
Yes, you do.
In the car before my kids' PTA meeting.
Really?
Yes.
Excuse me, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
I never win and tell.
Well, there you have it. You can get lucky anywhere, playing at LuckyLandSlots.com. Play for free right now. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Well, hopefully the Buccaneers, and, it's a roll of the dice with those guys.
Yeah, it is.
They should be able to beat the Panthers, who now are like, they've had 2 wins all season long.
Oh, so the Jaguars beat the Panthers this year and this week, and the Bucks get them next week, huh? Okay, yeah. You should be okay. You should be
hopefully.
Okay. Yeah.
Hopefully.
You don't want to be one of the very, very few wins that the Panthers get.
I think the Panthers actually beat them earlier in the year. I can't remember exactly, but I think the Panthers may have been one of their losses there when they were really like sucking in hard.
Well, there you go. So yeah, we're coming in, and then as we record this, college football playoffs tonight, New Year's night, and national championship in a week. So Texas Washington is the late game tonight, and Alabama Michigan, which should be a really good game. So yours truly, after we record this podcast, will probably spend the day in front of the TV again.
Now,
That's
did you
how
do
exciting
anything?
I am.
Now, did you do anything at all New Year's Eve? Were you alone? Were you?
No, I was home alone. I was home alone. Yeah,
So you did not get the midnight kiss?
I did not. No. In the lady friend is on as we record this again, at home at the daughter's place, sick as a dog. I mean, and she told me that like a week ago. She's like, "Oh, my grandkids keep coming home from school with their sniffles and their coughs, and I have a bad feeling about this," as Luke Skywalker once said. And yep, she caught something during the week, and so she's been down for the count for a couple of days. So not fun.
Yeah, my daughter, she teaches first grade.
Right.
And that's where they're just starting to learn how to maybe blow their nose correctly and cover their mouth when they cough. Maybe. And, and the only thing she says she will not do as a first grade teacher, and she also at one time taught kindergarten for a while too. And in this day and age, you almost have to refuse, but she absolutely refuses to wipe butts.
Yeah.
Oh, when you teach kindergarten, there are those children that say, "Miss Oden, can you wipe my butt?" No, I do not wipe butts.
All right, I have to admit, this is brand new information for me. I didn't really want to start off 2024 talking about wiping little kids' butts, but here we are. So, well, that's an interesting tidbit. Now, I thought for sure you were going to talk about just little kids being sick, because they are
that's where I
carriers.
was going. But yeah, also.
Yeah. They are carriers of germs of every kind. And I remember, because I worked, I mean, there was a year between radio jobs, I think before BJ and Bill or after? I don't remember. But anyway, there was a year in Fort Myers where I worked for the charter school company, because that was there was a few years in there where Lee County was growing so fast they couldn't build schools fast enough. So they had this charter school company come in and like take over office buildings and put schools in them. It worked. It's great. I mean, that's still a good business. So I was a computer guy for the charter school company, and we had like 7 schools in Lee County between Bonita and all the way up to Gateway and all of that stuff.
Yeah, my daughter actually started her teaching career at Gateway Elementary.
There you go. And you would live, I mean, as somebody who spent all day in schools with hands-on stuff, the computers that the kids played with all day, you lived by the bottle of hand sanitizer in your pocket. I mean, before that, little disease that everybody talked about a few years ago, before that thing started going around and everybody knew what hand sanitizer was, I was still a hand sanitizer professional, because boy, you like you said, the little kids, they're germ carriers. They just are. And you would be sick constantly. So anyway, long story short,
I know we're not really, school teacher type podcast, but
no,
another thing that I complain about, at least, and she talks about, parents nowadays need to make the dollar to, make the family work.
Of course.
And there's many, single household, families. And of course, even when you have 2 parents that are working, sometimes it is difficult to, put meat on the table, as they say. And so she says a lot of kids will come to school and you can see it, and she knows it. And even the kids complain how sick they are.
Right.
But, if, I don't know. We're not going to get into this, but, parents who just leave their children at home when they are sick so they don't come spread their germs to all the other children and the teachers.
But the problem, of course, is that both if one or if all the parents, if all the adults in the house, and it might be one, it might be two, we're not judging. If all the adults in the house have to go to work, then school becomes the daycare.
Yes.
And it's like you can't stay home with the kid because the kid's sick. You can't, can't lose that day's worth of work. So I get it. It's very, very difficult. I understand that. And there's no good answer for that. But,
Yeah,
so,
it's a sad situation, but yeah, she always says, "Oh my God, the kid was sicker than a dog in there. They still were at school."
right.
Now, a lot of times, though, if they have a fever, they will send them to the nurse. and
Right.
Then the nurse will call the parents if they have a fever and say, "You need to come get your child. They're sick."
Right. Well, okay. I mean, if that's, good. Whatever. Anyway, so you're talking to somebody who never had kids and never had to worry about that. Yay.
But what I was going to say though is my daughter seems to be sick a lot.
I'm
because
sure.
she teaches first grade.
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. And so, just keep slapping on that hand sanitizer and downing those vitamin C's by the handful. So
And teach your children how to wipe their butts.
And teach. Okay. Thanks. Great. Oh man. All right. Moving along. Gee whiz. Here
we are in the new year's.
Yes.
Well, it started out, my wife was trying to get on her Facebook page. As I told you, she got a new computer.
Right.
And it was an Apple. She never had an Apple before.
A
But
Mac.
for some reason, Mac, I mean. But for some reason, when they like transferred stuff and everything, I don't know how this happened, but she turned on the computer.
Mm-hmm.
She went to Facebook and immediately popped up a Facebook page that she had years ago that she kind of like started by accident or lost the password or something and just, I'm just going to make another one.
Right.
But it went to the one she made like years ago. And she could not get into the new one. But we kind of figured out the reason why her email she used back those days was an AOL account.
Wow.
So we went to the Geek Squad
Mm-hmm.
because Bill wasn't around. Oh, where my wife's going? She's taking off in the golf cart. But
the wife's taking off in the golf cart. Look
I
out.
saw it my window. There she goes.
Uh-oh.
But so we went to the Geek Squad, which was kind of cool.
Geek Squad.
And he got her, her AOL. She got signed back into her AOL, which she had years ago and have not used.
Okay.
To finally, set up her current Facebook page.
Good.
Which was pretty cool. So now she's into her current one. But I go, that's kind of
good.
cool. I haven't used AOL since I met Bill Stevens, and he said, you need to be on Google. Get rid of that AOL. And how many years ago was that? Probably, 20, 30 years ago?
20 years ago, exactly. I have
more than
one
20 years
friend,
ago.
At least. I have one friend, an older gentleman, and I mean, we're old, but he's older, who still uses his AOL address. And I'm like, oh my God, my friend. And of course he's like, well, it works. It's, all my stuff's in there. I'm like, I get it. All right, fine, whatever. I've tried talking him out of it too many times. And it's like, just, going to leave that sleeping dog lie. So, yeah.
Okay. So as I said, probably you taught me about, Google and, Gmail probably 25, 30 years ago.
I'm sure.
And so I have not used my AOL email or account.
You still have it though.
But you know what? I said, after I watched him do it with her,
right?
I went home and I have reopened and I can now currently use Radio BJ at AOL.com.
I love that. Radio BJ at AOL. All right. Well, it gives you another address. And can you forward it? I don't know that AOL lets you do that.
I don't know. You know what? I bet I could go to Google, at least in the app.
Right.
And because it draws from other sources.
Right.
So I bet I can do that.
You might, just because I have several different email addresses, but they all funnel into, I forward them all to the Gmail account.
That's kind of like me,
yeah. So you could send me an email at 4 different email addresses, then I'm going to see it because it shows up in Gmail. So that's fine. Yeah, that's no big deal. I mean, well, I shouldn't say it's not a big deal. Now, if your wife, and I'll bet she does a lot of shopping or online, stuff like that. The one thing that Mac they give you a lot of things, but one of the things that I love that they give you is this email address system they call it hide my email. So basically, if I'm on my Mac or my iPhone or my iPad and somebody says, oh, just give us your email and we'll send you a coupon or whatever, it'll pop up something on any Apple system, Mac, iPhone, whatever. It'll say, if you want to hide your email, just click here, and it gives them a fake email that automatically comes to your regular email. But then you can simply go in later, 2 weeks later, and turn off that email, the fake one. And it's like, oh, sorry, I'm not getting any more junk mail from you. Thank you. Goodbye. And it's so sweet. So I'm going to do that. Yeah. I've actually, thank you for the reminder. And I should, I could do a little marketing here. I'm going to actually start up. I used to do, like a couple of years ago, I did iPhone videos, tutorial videos. Because when I was in Sarasota, I used to teach those classes live and in person through the Sarasota County School Adult Education Program. Taught iPhones and computers and stuff like that. And then when that stopped, because again of that certain, disease that was going around, I started doing videos, and then I kind of fell away from that. But I'm feeling the urge. I think for 2024, one of my resolutions is to restart the tutorial videos for us old folks, because you can go on YouTube and you can watch teenagers telling you how to use your iPad or your iPhone all day long, but most people of our age, it's like, okay, slow down. So I'm going to go back to here's how to do it for us old folks kind of a thing. So be on the lookout for that. There you go.
All right. So now if you want to email me directly instead of the BJ and Bill podcast,
right. Radio BJ.
Gmail, Radio BJ
at
AOL.com.
Perfect. I should start a new address myself. I might have I know I had an AOL address. I don't know if I remember what it is, but
what you do, you go to AOL, and then because you remember your email address from AOL?
I think so. I'm sure I've got it somewhere written down. Or not.
You're a computer guy. You can figure it out. You said, retrieve my email. I forgot my password.
Yeah.
And basically, so it was something to do to pass the time. When you get old people, you're going, what can I do today to pass the time? Oh, that's it. I'm gonna reopen my old AOL account.
Oh, wow. Wow. You really live on the edge there, Grandpa. Wow. That's exciting. Woo woo. So yes, for all those folks that, got a new iPhone for Christmas or a new computer or a new iPad or whatever like that, be on the lookout for Bill Stevens doing his videos or something. I'll put a notice of that on our whatchamacallit, on our Facebook page. Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, the Facebook page is starting to happen a little bit.
It kind of is. I see all the time, like the notifications and stuff popping up by the bunch, and I see you are doing a great job. I'm not contributing at all to it, but maybe I need to start.
We're going to have some great questions coming up in the new year.
Oh, we are we?
Yeah, because I used, where's the little note at? I actually had Bard help me.
Google Bard. Did you? And how did you ask?
I'm not going to tell other people.
Oh, okay.
That's going to be my little secret. I came up with all of these new questions on my own.
Of course you did. you computer genius, you. Woo. Oh man. Oh, so anyway, the artificially intelligently enhanced BJ Odom will be that's a great idea though. I should probably do a video about that, shouldn't I? If you've never just tried the AI thing, just to try it, just to see what it can do. I mean, it blows your mind how smart and how fast and how good it is. You know, you think of like a computer, like you think of the old, 70s sci-fi movies. Oh, it's artificial intelligence. We type something in and it spits out the formula for Diet Coke or whatever. No, this will write you an entire book if you want. I wouldn't recommend that, but yeah.
Now, it was really funny because I told you, the wife went to the Geek Squad.
Right.
And those guys are geeks.
Yes, they are.
I mean, full-fledged geeks. You ask them a question about a computer or a phone, boom, they and they're on it.
Yes.
Within seconds.
Yes.
So as we was wrapping up, because you get a 20-minute visit if you get an appointment, you get a 20-minute window where you have the little guy to help you,
Sure.
She helped her with a few other tricks along the way with her new,
Sure.
Apple, which was really good, her new MacBook. And so as our meeting was ending, I just said to the guy, "Are you into AI?" And he said, "Not really." He goes, "That stuff can really, you got to really do your homework to make sure it tells you accurate information."
Yes.
He says, because it could give you inaccurate information for sure. So
well, it doesn't know what's fact or fiction. It doesn't know. It just spits stuff back to you.
Yes. So that's what he did say. He said, if you're doing some kind of research or something, don't trust it.
Right. Right.
But I didn't tell him I'm an old radio guy and I'm trying to get it to help me with my, Facebook post because
it was show prep.
Yeah. So
I don't care if it's true or not, as long as it's funny.
Yeah. That's what I'm looking for. So, but he said, he goes, he was like, he kind of pointed me away from it, but he didn't know what I was doing with it. But when I asked him, I just kind of asked him as a brief question as we were getting up and leaving. I go, "You're a big computer guy. Are you into the new AI stuff? Are you into it? Are you using it?" And that's when he gave me the speech. Be careful because you could be getting your wrong answers. So don't trust it for your information.
And as I understand it, and this may be changing, and I'm sure they are changing it, that it's like they've used it to read. They've gone into the internet and read things in the past, but it's like they don't have the last year's worth of brand new information. So if something has changed in the past year, it may or may not know about it. So I hear you. Yeah.
Okay.
Who knows? It's worth a shot. Worth a shot.
So that was, that was one of the things I did, over the weekend. Went to see Geek Squad and had a wonderful lunch with my daughter and her new boyfriend.
Oh.
Like we met him before, but we never really sat down and had a dinner or a lunch with him and conversed with him a lot. This is him. Hello, how are you?
Right.
And so that was good.
Okay. So he seems to be okay. I mean, he seems like he's, going to be an okay boyfriend, or, does he get the dad stamp of approval?
He got this, like AI. I don't know if I can believe it yet or not, because you never know. Because when a guy meets a girl for the very first time, he might be from Leave It to Beaver. He might be Eddie Haskell. "Oh, Mrs. Odom, you smell so good today. Oh, that's a mighty good looking shirt you got on there, Mr. Cleaver." You don't know. Is he an Eddie Haskell or is he for real?
I had forgotten, but yes, I get it. I get it. All right. So lots of sucking up going on there.
And the young people that do, if there are young people that listen to our podcast, Eddie Haskell?
Yeah,
what's Eddie Haskell?
Nobody's getting that one. Yeah.
Look up Leave It to Beaver and watch some old episodes.
Right. and they might be out there. I mean, they could be. There might be some Leave It to Beavers out there. I know there's plenty of other
old shows.
My God, there's so much other old stuff out there that if you wanted to during the day, you could, spend the day watching Gunsmoke or, something like that. That'd be, but it's not for me, but it's out there. It's all out there nowadays. So
now
anyway.
I will say this, when I do watch like an episode of Leave It to Beaver.
Yes.
Or like even I used to say as a kid, I loved Gilligan's Island. So it's Leave It to Beaver, one of my favorite shows.
Yeah. No, I was more of a Gilligan's Island person, but yes.
But you watch those shows if you like on TV Land or something where you can like watch them back like today.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, we're in the radio business, not really the television business, but a little bit intertwined.
A little.
And I watch those shows now. Like I'll watch one of them back and I'll go, oh my God, this acting is so bad.
Right?
It's like,
It really is. It's
Like-
terrible. But
the technology. Oh my, it's really funny, when you watch one of those old shows, it's still fun to watch and it's still kind of refreshing and it takes you back to the day,
right.
but still you're going, my God, I used to like this. This is one of my favorite shows.
We didn't know any better. We didn't know any better back then. Nobody did. It was new. It was different. It was exciting. It was like, wow, it was like must-see TV Monday at 8 or whatever, whatever those things came around. And Star Trek came out for the first time. First time. Oh my God. So yeah, I understand. But yeah, you watch that stuff now and you go, wow, really? One plot recycled 24 times.
Yeah, but kids, you look up that Eddie Haskell guy. He was quite the character.
You do that. All right. All right. So we're about halfway through. We're going to take our break, refill your coffee. That's what I'm going to do. When we come back, we're going to ask BJ Odom for his New Year's resolutions and see if he will attempt something new and different this year. You work on that. We will be right back.
Okay, round two. Name something that's not boring.
A laundry? Ooh, a book club. Computer solitaire, huh?
Ah, sorry, we were looking for Chumba Casino. That's right, ChumbaCasino.com has over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Welcome back. I'm Bill Stevens. That's BJ Odom. This is BJ and Bill, the podcast. So feel free to, like we were talking about earlier, leave us that review wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, wherever. Stop by the Facebook page, BJ and Bill Podcast. Remember, you have to spell out the and, A-N-D. So BJ and Bill Podcast. And leave a comment, leave a joke, leave us something. But the review is really what we would appreciate the most. I would appreciate knowing what New Year's resolutions BJ Odom has set for 2024. Here we are, the first show of the brand new year being recorded on New Year's Day. That's how good we are. What do you think?
I have struggled with New Year's resolutions all along because normally, and I think probably 90% of the people, when they make a New Year's resolution,
right,
by February, you've either forgotten it or you've ruined it.
Yeah.
Because most people, I'm going to diet. By February, you're back to your same old habits, eating whatever you want.
Tomorrow, the gym is packed. End of the month, back to empty.
Yes. Well, yes. So, it's hard. Like I said, I have made a New Year's resolution probably the last 10 years, just saying, my New Year's resolution is to be here again at the end of next year.
Not a bad thing.
So I have to say, I have made last year's resolution come true.
So here you are.
Yeah.
Here you are.
Now we're going to try and do it again for another year.
Right. So we obviously, this is show number 70 you mentioned earlier. So we've obviously been doing this for more than a year. I don't remember doing a New Year's show. Not that I have that good a memory, but doing a New Year's show. But when you said your resolution, your intention is always just to be around in 12 months. I'm pretty sure I remember you saying that last year. So here you are. So mission accomplished.
Well, probably even when we were doing the show, the radio show, especially after my heart transplant, because we got, of course, let go from WOLZ after the transplant, but then we worked a couple other radio stations together.
Yep.
So I probably had that same resolution while we worked at those radio. So you have most definitely probably heard me say that somewhere in the past, because that pretty much has been my New Year's resolution for every year. Now, many years I have said I'm going to do the, lose weight. I'm going to, work out more. But and when you get to be my age and you made those New Year's resolutions so many times, you just go, It's not even worth it.
I already know how this story ends.
I've seen the ending. It's
Yeah.
not pretty.
No. So you might as well just what? Just keep living your life. That's keep
Yeah.
living your life. That's a good thing.
Yeah,
I like
You know,
it.
I guess being a better father and a better husband would be a New Year's resolution, because you can always, I mean, at least I think probably every husband and
Sure.
parent could
Sure.
probably be a little better, even if they're the greatest in the world. So just to be better, I guess, just to be a better human being.
I like that. Better human. I like better human. Because I mean, your father days, I'm not going to say they're over. You'll always be a father as long as your kids are around. But I mean, you kind of have already set them on their path. I mean, you know, your son, obviously, and you know, your daughter, even as an adult and working and all that. So it's not like, well, I don't know that. I mean,
Here's what it is.
right.
And I think you got to be a parent to understand it.
Okay, try me.
But I heard this from my parents too. Even when I was like 40 years old, well, I don't know how old. Yeah, I was probably 45 by the time my dad died. I was probably only about 35 when my mother died.
Right.
But my mother would always say, my baby boy is always my baby boy.
Yes.
You know, you're always going to be, and that's the same with my son. My son is always my baby boy. And my daughter is always my little girl.
Right.
And, you know, it's just, it's weird. But I mean, even today, you know, my son, sorry, Gentry, just, you know, turned 45.
Oh boy.
So he's 45 now.
Wow.
And I'm telling him, you know, things like, son, this is what you should do this. You should, you know, not being mean or like, you need to do that now.
No.
But like, you know, son, you like, he doesn't have
Really, at
insurance.
45, you're still giving him advice.
Yes.
About what?
Like maybe saving on your electric bill, not spending so much money on other people.
Okay.
You know, and doesn't have insurance. He lives without insurance. I go, you can't
Insurance.
do
What do you
that.
mean? Oh, like life insurance?
Oh no, health insurance.
Health insurance. Oh dear.
I go, you cannot do that at 45.
I mean, you can choose to, but it's probably not a wise choice. Right.
Yeah.
I get
And
it.
I've told
I get
him
it.
that many of times.
I get it. Yes.
But,
Interesting.
So, you know, those are some of the things. And my daughter, you know, she's in a new relationship.
Right.
She's already, you know, met some goober who, like, you know, didn't even, you know, marry her for a year, and he was ready to jump out the door and found him a new little tail feather. So yeah, that's right. I'm talking to you out there if you're listening, you little son of a bitch.
Oh.
So like, you know, even, you know, with a new boyfriend, you know, as a father, you know, you're
I think that's probably still an area where, yes, you have something valuable to offer to your daughter. Yes.
Yeah.
Because you're her father. B, you're a guy, and you know, you've been in relationships before. So yeah, I'm sure there's something you have to offer there. I'm sure there is.
And something else, and most parents probably know this too, and I will inform you of this, and you probably heard this from other parents, but like, you know, when my daughter went through her divorce, or when, you know, she met a guy, you know, and then, you know, she got her heart broke.
Right.
When your children hurt, and I mean, I would think this happens to probably at least 80% of, you know, parents.
Well, yeah, 100% of the good ones. Yeah.
When your child hurts, when they say that your parents hurt worse,
Right.
they do.
I hear that. I do. I hear that. Yeah.
And
Well,
so
because you care about them, of course.
yeah, so I think that's true. You know, when she's hurting, I'm hurting.
Mhm.
When she's happy, I'm happy. When my son's hurting, I'm hurting. When
Mhm.
he's happy, I'm happy.
Cool.
So yeah,
Yeah, I
Little
get it.
bit of-
No, that's good. That's good.
a
I
little
don't know
bit
how
of-
we got onto this. We were talking about New Year's resolutions, but it's good. I like it. That's, you know, taking care of the people you love is the most important thing.
Yes.
Yes. I'm going to just leave that sit as is. I said what I said. Taking care of the people you love is the most important thing in life, period.
Right.
So there you go. Okay.
And yeah, I can only imagine, you know, not to really, you know, keep the subject kind of changed, but, you know, with me being told, well, not me personally being told, but with my parents being told, oh yeah, he has this really bad heart and he'll probably live to see his early teens. And
Right.
that's about the best we're going to be able to do for now.
Right.
And then of course they came up with a miracle, surgery, like I was one of the first to get it. And then I lived to be like, almost 50 years old. And then they said, well, your heart is pretty well,
Shot.
deteriorated and gone. And
Right.
then I got a heart transplant. So,
Right.
I mean, but I can only imagine being a parent and hearing your son or your daughter may only live to be like probably mid-teens, and that's about all we can do.
Right.
That's got to be a gut punch.
In the worst way.
And
Yes.
sometimes I think, well, because my mother died very young,
Mhm.
I think some of that might, that was she died of heart problems, but that had to be like a really heart stressful, physical time for both my parents.
Right. Right. My mother always used to say that both my parents used to say that it's like, it's not right in the cosmic scheme of things. I mean, they didn't say that. I said that, but it's just not right that parents outlive the children. And
Right.
my brother died when both my parents were still alive. So they had to deal with that. So yeah, I know the pain of that. I mean, I was there for them for that as well. So I get it. So yeah, I get it. Boy, we kind of went down an interesting path there, didn't we? So
Well, that's what happens on this show.
kind of is.
You
Talk
never
about
know where the twists and turns will take you. Now, what is your resolution for the upcoming year, Bill Stevens?
Well, like you said, there's always the diet thing. Not diet. I don't want to say diet. There's always the lifestyle stuff that you want to change. And I've been doing better with the keto diet stuff that I kind of enjoy because I like my burgers and my steaks. And tonight it's going to be steak night here at the house for New Year's. So continue with the lifestyle changes. But I'm also the online business thing that I've been playing with for a year. I finally kind of had this little, I'm not going to say epiphany, but I kind of had this little moment over the weekend of saying, you've been screwing around, and I use that word, then I use the good version of screwing around with this for a year. Are you going to do anything with it? Or you just maybe want to go back to delivering pizza for Domino's so you can, make money to live better? So I don't want to go back to delivering pizza for Domino's. So I'm putting more things in place to hold myself responsible for working on this online business thing. Because I mean, it's such an obvious thing. I'm kind of a computer geek and I like that stuff. And I like what you and I are doing with the recordings and the videos and stuff like that. And I can put all of it together into something business-like to hopefully make a few bucks. Not to hopefully, it is my intention to make a few bucks with it. I don't need to be a millionaire with it. I'm past that. But there's opportunity there, and I've been underperforming, shall we say, in the area of taking advantage of that. So that's what I want to do. Yeah. So, started a new little checklist chart, started putting some stuff out online over the weekend, going to keep doing that this week. And there we go. So.
Yeah, I understand that underperforming thing.
I'm just not driven like that. And you and I have talked about this in the past, like people like, oh, I don't know, your son, who is a rock star with that stuff. And where does that come from? And where do you, how do you bounce out of bed in the morning and go, yes, it's another great day for doing my whole list of to-dos and getting this thing rocking and all? I don't feel that way.
I will tell you this, and maybe this will help you, and maybe it'll help some of our listeners.
Try me.
I don't want to be giving away my son's secrets, but he has a notebook. And every day he writes, these are the things that I want to get done today.
Right.
And so he puts, when he puts it out, he put the most important all the way down to the least important.
Right.
And he checks them off. And
physically writes it down on paper and pencil or pen. Really?
And checks it off. And then the things that are on the bottom, they go on the next day list.
They go to tomorrow.
And then it just every day he has a new list.
Right.
Some days he gets, maybe only 2 or 3 things off the list. Some days maybe, and I've seen this little book that he has.
Right.
And I would say there's probably anywhere from 20 to how many lines are on a notebook?
25, 30, I don't know.
He's usually, so he's got at least probably 12 to 15 minimum, but usually it goes all the way down almost to the bottom of the page almost every day.
Wow.
Some of it's little things, but some of it's, things that like, this is a priority. I need to get this done.
So 2 things about that. A, awesome system. Cool that he writes it down paper and pencil or pen. I actually, with that in mind, same idea, actually downloaded an app for that I can just, not a to-do list, but more of a project manager kind of thing that kind of does on the computer, on the phone, does exactly the same thing. And you can set due dates and priorities and all that. But having said all that, those are the tools that allow you to do the stuff. They don't allow you. They remind you to do the stuff. He writes down in the morning, like you said, he's got 10 things to do today. Okay, cool. The question isn't that he writes them down. I can do that too. The question is, what kicks you in your, what is the self-motivating ass-kicking thing that I do for myself that's like, all right, now I'm sitting down and I am actually going to do that first thing on the list, because I'm really good at like, oh, look, YouTube, more cat videos, or whatever the video of the day happens to be.
I will tell you,
not the motivation. Yes, the motivation thing. That's the whatever.
Now that I don't know, but I know on another podcast, and it wasn't even in his network, but somebody interviewed him. It was like a radio podcast, and his answer to what motivates him to be successful: failure, past failures.
In other words, in other words, he just hates to fail. I mean, is that or is there something else to it?
I think that, I don't know. You'd have to talk to him, because I
get it.
Look how successful he is.
Right.
Look how successful I am.
We are.
Yeah. And I think we can answer the question, but I know in this interview, he was saying, he had many failures along the way, but he learned from each and every failure. Like, when he first tried to put on Shaq Fu Radio.
Sure.
With Shaquille O'Neal.
Sure.
There were failures in the beginning, and there was even failures getting it started and getting, Shaquille's, consent.
Right. Buy-in on it. Yes.
And he pursued it more, and he I don't know. He is a researcher. If he's got a problem, I think before long, because a lot of his, with the podcast network and the 2, radio stations, internet radio stations, and the apps that he have, they're not like the little apps you can buy from any app store.
Right.
They build their own. He hires someone to build his own apps. So they're just a little cooler and a little hipper than all the rest.
Right.
And they have problems along the way. And he says, I swear, before this is over with, I'm going to learn how to write code.
Pretty soon the AI will do that for you, by the way. But
yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So his motivator is that the ghost of failures past back there behind him, and he don't want to go back to that.
I think that's it. Some of it. And I think some of it, the failures have taught him to do more too.
Well, of course. I mean, I shouldn't say of course, but there's some guru out there, some personal development guru who says, I either, I never lose, I never fail. I either win or I learn. Which So, good. I get it. I understand that. And I can do that too.
And then there's people like me that, heck, I should be a whole lot smarter because I have failed many, many different projects I have tried.
Well, yeah. Well, it doesn't, I don't know that failure, failure can make you smart. Failure itself doesn't make you smarter. It's what you do after you have failed. Do you stop and go, all right, what happened there? Let's make sure that doesn't happen again. And I mean, everybody does that. That's called life. It's like, I tried cooking something this morning and I totally burned it, or I totally messed it up. All right, let's do it differently next time. All right, I've learned. Okay, fine. But still, yeah, the motivation thing, I don't like that word, but there needs to be so anyway, I was
going to bring that very same word up though. Yeah. It's all about motivation, because
it is, but I can't motivate you I can't motivate BJ to eat healthy if he doesn't want to. So motivation is kind of like, you know, you can go to the gym and the trainer can yell at you, but if you don't want to do it, you're still not going to do it. Well, I mean, you might just to make him happy and get him off your case for a while, but that doesn't create. Well, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong about that. I don't know. Maybe we need to get
maybe
a
you need to
coach
find
on or
something.
something.
Maybe you need to find something to motivate, and that, well, me and you both.
Right.
What motivates us.
Exactly.
And then that's what you go for. Well, I want this, so I got to do this so I can get to what I want.
Exactly. And that's kind of where I'm at with this resolution thing, with this New Year's resolution thing. It's that I see something that other people are doing, that they're no smarter than me. They're no wealthier than me. They have no other advantages other than they are doing the thing and I am not. So, okay, they're doing the thing and getting the thing that I want. So, okay, maybe I could just do that thing as well. So yeah, I have, and not to make excuses, but yeah, I have 2 new books on my Kindle that I will be reading that will help with that. And one of them is, I'm not going to say it's a classic, but it's kind of a modern classic. It's called Atomic Habits by James Clear, and everybody online recommends it. And it's kind of breaking down the motivation thing into the littlest itty bitty pieces of what you can do to move yourself forward on a daily basis. So I'll report back on that when the time comes. So.
And another thing, and I'm not putting you in this, but I'll put myself in it.
Go for it. We're talking here.
I think a lot of it has to do too with, and I hate to say the word, but I know I have experienced it in many occasions, laziness.
Well, of course.
Like
I'm not saying of course for you, I'm saying of course for me. Yes.
If I put more, if I said, okay, this gets me by, this, I'm doing okay.
It's enough. It's enough.
I don't, but if I like, gosh, I need to do this so I can get to point B. Here I'm at point A. I want to be at point B.
Right.
I'm doing all right at point A. I'm not going to put in the work to get to plan B.
Exactly. And you tell yourself you want it. You tell yourself, yes, I really want to get to point B. But do you really? Because if you really did, you'd probably do something. See, we need to, if any of our wonderful listeners are like life coaches or, that personal development gurus, get in touch and we would love to interview and talk about that for the new year.
The only problem, if we do have, those people,
right?
By the time they got to this point in the podcast, they would already left and said, "Oh my God, these 2 guys, they're hopeless."
Yeah, what a couple of screw ups. Yeah. Well, we'll have them on first so that they can, provide some valuable advice, and then we can,
or maybe there's a guy out there listening who said, I can fix these 2 guys. Say, just give me a chance. So we're going to give you a chance. Come on the podcast.
Come on, I actually. And I think I talked about this when we first got started with this podcast, probably now 5 years. Whoa, wait a minute. It was longer than that. Might've been 7 years ago. I actually did a little podcast of my own, and I interviewed a lot of life coaches and stuff like that because it was kind of a personal development kind of a thing that I enjoyed. And yeah, I talked to a lot of those folks. And, they always say you teach what you need to learn or whatever that cliche is. So, yeah, I probably had a lot of those people on thinking to myself, oh, I'll learn something and maybe I'll, figure out something for myself. And I'm pretty sure I didn't, but I also didn't, do a whole lot with it. So anyway.
I know a year or 2 before we started this podcast. So that'd have been like 2, 3, maybe even 4 years ago.
Right.
I texted you or called you or something. Sure. We should do a podcast.
Oh, yeah. We've been talking about this for at least a year before it actually started.
Yeah.
At least. Yeah.
And if it wasn't for my son having the company that he has, we probably still be going, Bill, we need to do a podcast.
Right. Right. So did you mention it to your son that you were talking to your old partner, Bill, and you were thinking about doing a podcast? And he said, yes, Dad, do it. Did he?
No. Well, no. I mean, I told him that, when he started doing these podcasts, I go, I think he was doing podcasts for a while. Even I said, Bill and I talked about doing a podcast. He goes, well, then you should.
Right.
I think I contacted you again, and I don't think we really did anything about it. And then finally he said, "Are you guys going to do a podcast or not?" And I go, "Yeah, damn it, let's do it."
There you go. So
see, he had to push me,
right,
probably to do it. Oh, we're
good for him. I mean, I'm glad he did because we've enjoyed it. We still are enjoying it a year and a half later or whatever it is. So cool. Yeah. All right. So I'll report back to you as I read my stuff here. You're never too old to learn. You're never too old to learn something new. I don't care if you're BJ and Bill's age or you're 95. I don't care. You're never too old to learn something. So that's another New Year's thing that we can work on. Work. I hate that word, work. Maybe that's it. I need to say what I can play with or something.
What was that? Maynard G. Krebs. Remember that? Now there's another way back. Dobie Gillis, the Dobie Gillis show. The Gilligan was Maynard G. Krebs.
Yes, he was.
Somebody would say the word work and he'd go, work.
Right? I didn't remember that until you said it, but I think I'm pretty sure I remember my mother pulling that line on me when I was a teenager or something like that. Work? What?
Yeah, because that was like that's the way back machine.
Way back.
You have to be at least our age to remember that.
Back when the world was in black and white. Yes, kids, the world was in black and white for a while, believe it or not. So yeah.
Yeah, you didn't have HD, you had black and white.
Yeah, black and white. And you had to get up and walk across the room to change the channel.
Unless you had children. Hey, turn that over to channel 5.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. I was the remote for my father.
Yeah.
Get up and change it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Back in the day where, there was like 3 networks, and if you were really, really lucky and lived next to a big city, you might get 5 whole television stations.
Right. We had 5 in Cleveland. We had, the big 3, the public, the public, the PBS station, and then there was one UHF independent station. There's another one, kids. Look up VHF, not VHS, VHF UHF. I think I might have even forgotten that. I don't know. So, wow. We are both setting the Wayback Machine. What a great show for the first of the year. We are both setting the Wayback Machine and we are looking ahead to the new year to come. Boy, oh boy, this is like some kind of deep stuff. Awesome. So yeah. So anyway, those are, resolutions. If you have resolutions, let us know. I think the better question, if we can kind of go back to it a little, is not everybody, like BJ has given up on setting resolution. Well, his resolution is to be here in a year, and so he's kept that. So some people have, I'm not going to say given up on resolutions, but they have, kind of thought, what the hell? Why bother? Kind of a thing. And I get that. That's fine. The better idea, the better question for me is, what are you going to do about it? How are you going to think about moving ahead with it? What keeps you motivated? Maybe that's the good. Let us know. Go to the Facebook page, BJ and Bill podcast. Go to the Facebook page. Let us know what you're going to do to motivate yourself to make sure that the things that you want for the new year are actually things that happen in the new year. Wow. There you go.
I'm going to write this down.
Uh-oh. What are you writing down?
What do you do to motivate yourself?
What do you do to motivate yourself?
That would be a good question for us to put on our Facebook page.
Yes, it would. And again, I'm totally serious. I know BJ is too. We are totally serious about if you have experience with personal coaching and that sort of thing. Not like a trainer. I mean, well, maybe a trainer would be, a physical trainer would be good too, because that's a motivating job. You have to motivate people to do stuff that they don't want, that they may or may not want to do. I'm not going to speak for your clients, but yeah, reach out, get in touch. We'd love to talk. It'd be a great thing to do for the first couple of shows of the new year. Awesome. Why are you laughing?
I don't know. Sometimes I just think we're just the greatest. we don't need to improve. We're so great.
We're perfect as we are. We're perfect as we are. Yeah. I read a lot of, and he's gone now, but Wayne Dyer, star of public TV fundraising for years and years. Wayne Dyer wrote a lot of self-development books and spiritual books and stuff. And one of my favorite quotes of his is, "The world is perfect exactly as it is, and so is your desire to change it."
Oh, wow.
So in other words, things are fine. You're good. But if you want to make it better, go do that. Or make yourself better. Go do that. So
Yeah.
I think that's a good thing for the new year.
That's deep, man.
That's deep. I know. I can do that sometimes. Scary. When I haven't had enough coffee to wind me up. So yeah, it's deep. I know. All right, fine. Well, there you go. What else? Anything else for the new year, or should we call it a day?
I think we can call it a day. I'm pretty much,
I think so too.
Not only was I entertained today, but I think I was, I'm a little smarter leaving today's podcast.
Oh, a little smarter, a little more entertained. Oh, did you hear that? My phone made a new beep because my little reminder system, my new little online reminder. Oh, see my Jacksonville Jaguars wallpaper there. Look at that. Yeah. My little reminder system is reminding me of things. So I have a couple of things like drink more water, do this, do that. I'm putting a few things on the reminder list so that it reminds me during the day. Ooh.
That would be a good New Year's resolution.
What's that?
Drink more water. Probably one of the most healthy things you can do.
It really is, and I don't do enough of it. So 3 times a day, my little app pops up a thing and says, just drink some water, Bill. Just drink some water.
And some people say, well, I drink coffee. I drink soda. I get plenty of fluids. No, water is, because when you mix stuff with it, it's sometimes not.
Right. Your body has to filter out the beans.
Yeah.
and the sugar and the cream and the whatever you put in your coffee. But yes, real water by itself is important. Yes, it is. So there you go. All right, we're going to leave you with that self-development tip for the day. Stay tuned for more self-development tips through all of 2024 with BJ and Bill. That's awesome. All right, young man, have yourself a great week. Yes, what are you going to do? Anything?
Well, the wife has a doctor's appointment on Friday in Tampa. And then I don't know, not for sure. I think
my car has a doctor appointment tomorrow. I'm finally getting I have one of those. I don't want to tell anybody where I live because I have one of those Hyundais that's apparently easy to steal. So I have to take my car in for some software update. Everybody needs a software update nowadays, my car included. So
I hope your mechanic is better than mine.
Well,
I have taken my car the last 2 times. I won't say where. Toyota.
Okay.
They won't. They do an excellent job, but they're not smart enough to reset the little gizmo that says, here's what happened. We took our car in to get it serviced before we went to Indiana. This is like way back in, the fall.
Right.
And so I took it in like maybe, 500 miles early.
Right.
Because it needed to, because we're going to Indiana. I wanted to get it serviced.
Sure.
Have it all ready to go.
Sure.
So we get halfway to Indiana, almost to Indiana, and the light comes on, service required. Well, no, service wasn't required. They just forgot to reset they forgot to reset it. Back to the mechanic. So they reset it for me at a Toyota dealership in Indiana and looked at it and everything was fine. So now I'm behind. So I've got to really take it in here, but I still have like another, 1,000 miles before my light's going to come on.
Right.
So I take it in, I said, my light hasn't come on yet. And then I give him the whole story. So I said, make sure they reset it.
Right.
When, so it'll be good. So guess what? Another 1,000 miles have went by since I had it serviced. Your car needs serviced.
The light comes on.
It's like, and when the light comes on, it takes out a lot of like the gauges. Like there's a spinometer, like a regular, spinometer.
Right. It hides a lot of other stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, oh, you stupid people, just reset it. I need to figure out how to do it myself. I could probably go on YouTube and figure it out myself.
I don't know about that, but you could try. All right. All right. There we go down another road. We're done. I promise you folks, we're done. Have yourself a great week. We'll see you next week. Keep those resolutions, whatever they might be. And we'll talk to you next week. But until then, it's just up to BJ Odom to say,
see ya.
With Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to... Has anyone seen the bride and groom?
Sorry, we're here. We were getting lucky in the limo and we lost track of time. No, Lucky Land Casino, with cash prizes that add up quicker than a guest registry.
In that case, I pronounce you lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Daily bonuses are waiting. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.